You're listening to the Into the Woods podcast with your hosts, Dermot and Michael. Let's get into it.
Wonderful chase by Hinshaw.
Cox again. I cannot believe it. Dacos nearly runs out of room. He's goal.
Jamie Elliott has won the game of footy for this famous club.
Slap for Nick Dacos. He's going to be the hero. The little champ is going to pick the winner.
Here's the Degoe moment. He unloads. Bang! You need your stars. And Collingwood stars just went and wrenched the cup back.
If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. For Spotify and Apple listeners, a 5-star rating would be greatly appreciated. Make sure you hit the bell icon on any of those platforms to be notified as soon as new episodes are released. You can find us on X at Into the Woods Pod and on Instagram at Into the Woods Pod 10. Thanks for your ongoing support by helping the podcast grow. Go Pies! Welcome to the first trade edition of Into the Woods. I'm your host Dermot, and once again, I'm joined by Michael. How are you, Mick?
Still recovering from my ordeal, Dermot, thank you. My ordeal of last week. So, yep, doing better, thank you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I was bedridden for a number of days. I thought you might have remembered. Okay.
Not really.
It was quite the ordeal.
Yes, I do. Actually, I do remember calling you a couple of times while I was over in Melbourne, and you're sooking it up.
I was off my food.
Can you imagine if the Pies made the granny and you were feeling like that?
Yeah.
In all seriousness, you were in a bad way, weren't you?
I was in a bad way. I was lucky to have even watched the game. I just laid in bed in a comatose state Thursday and Friday. And either day before and after that weren't good either, a couple of days, but yes. But I suffered in silence. As is my way.
Although in fairness, there was about a 48-hour patch where I didn't really hear from you, and I actually started to think that maybe you had passed on.
I thought maybe I'd passed on. I was very stoic.
How are you feeling after not health-wise, but how are you feeling now that the dust has settled on the prelim loss? Are you putting that on?
That wasn't put on. That was involuntary. I've still got this nagging cough. Got a little bit of asthma. I don't always suffer from asthma, but whenever I get a cold, anyway. Back to the footy. It reminds me. It's taking me back 20 years. Our present state. It's the parallels between Collingwood and Brisbane of today and Collingwood of Brisbane and Brisbane of 2002 to 2003 are pretty huge. Where you could describe us as Collingwood as being a side with one great player. So Buckley 20 years ago, Nick Dacos now. And then we've got a number of players who are good players around that great player. Good support players.
So Pendlebury and DeGoey aren't great players?
Well, Pendlebury in his present state isn't Pendlebury. He's 37, so he's doing as well as he can. And, but he's not a pointy-nosed great player in the league at the moment. He's not right up there in the top 10, 15 midfielders, and neither is DeGoey because he's just not in the park. Okay, so Nick is the only Collingwood player you'd probably have in the top 20 in the league. I haven't given that much thought, much in the way as Buckley would have been 20 years ago. But then you look at the Brisbane side, and guess what the Brisbane side have got back? They got back their Fab Four, just different names, but they're still the Fab Four. I find it strong parallels between the two.
So I'll ask you
eras.
again, how are you feeling after the dust has settled?
Well, that's how I'm feeling. You've asked me to reflect on how the dust has settled. That is how I see you're squinting again, Dermot. Dermot's battling in the sun today. It was like working with Spielberg. He was trying to get the lighting right and carrying on. Well, that's how I'm feeling. The dust has settled, and that's where I see Collingwood as a similar side to what we were 20 years ago.
I think the current Collingwood team's a hell of a lot better on paper than what 2002-3 is. I reckon on paper 2002 and 3 are two of the worst grand final teams in the history of the game.
No, well, 2003. Yeah, no, 2002 I thought was... I just
Like,
think
we're still a premiership team. There's a lot of premiership players.
Yeah, I realise that. And we were close to being a premiership team in 2002 as well. We were very close. We could easily have been.
Yeah, but they weren't. But this is a premiership team. And we beat that Brisbane team in the grand final.
I'm not saying they're identical, Dermot. I'm saying that overall it's got a similar feel to it. And another thing is, today's side, much like 2002, relies primarily on bringing pressure. They're not a highly skilled side like a Hawthorn was in the kind of 2014-15 period who could execute by foot and hurt opposition. We, like 2002, we need to bring the pressure in order to be competitive. That's our one wood. Our one wood is we get over 200, whatever that rating is, every quarter, and that keeps us in the game. So that's the other similarity. So that's how I'm viewing this at the moment. Yep.
Well,
to answer your question,
I was just expecting you to be like, yeah, all right, or whatnot. That was a long answer.
Well, we're doing a podcast. Isn't that what I'm meant to do? Isn't it meant to be extensive?
This is just meant to be the small talk at the start of the podcast, and I didn't expect you to go right into it and analyze it to its depth, which normally you don't do, even when we're in the hot topics section. So
no,
you're a new man. You're peaking right at the end of our podcasting season, Mick.
Oh well, but this is. Sorry, I'm still suffering from coffee.
Oh God!
But it's a big question. You've asked me a big question. How would I summarise?
No, I didn't. I asked you how you were feeling.
The entire year.
I didn't ask you. I'm feeling. If you're going to ask me the same question, I'm feeling okay. It's like I said. It's always devastating when you lose a prelim, isn't it? And but when you lose it by 5 goals and then you go and see that same team win by 50 odd points or whatever it was in the end, you kind of know that, yeah, they're the best team and they deserve it. It's different to when we lose grannies and prelims by less than a kick. That's devastating because if a couple of little things went your way, then you would be the premiers or playing off in a grand final or whatever. You're good enough. But in this case, we're not even close to that Brisbane side. They've gone back to back and they deserve it. And it was I said in the last pod that my hatred for Cam Rayner would make me go for Geelong. But once that first bounce happened, and we're talking about the bounce in a second, once that happened, I knew straight away in my heart that I'm not going for Geelong. I hate that team, and I was all aboard the Brisbane train for that whole game. I was because even though they got a lot of unlikable characters, which I mentioned in the last pod, Rayner and Zorko and all those guys, they've also the other half of the team is actually very likable. You got Chris Fagan, Harris Andrews, Lockie Neal, Josh Dunkley, McCluggage. All these guys are just really likable guys. I really respect the way that they play the game or coach and Fagans. But yeah, I was happy to see them beat Geelong. Fuck that team. Fuck Bailey Smith. So,
once again, we don't actually know these people, but you mentioned Cam Rayner, and Cam Rayner was responsible for my favourite moment of the grand final.
Yeah. The tackle on Bailey Smith.
No, when he was accepting his award. Nobody does cringy like Channel 7 in the AFL. When I was listening out to the kiddies who were presenting the medals being mic'd up. They always mic up one or two of the kids and they say the most cringy things that is hilarious. Well, one of the little kids said to Cam Rayner when presenting the award, the medal, "I want to be just like you." And Cam Rayner, the quote of the day, replied, "No, I want to be just like you," he said. Cam Rayner said to a 6-year-old girl that he wanted to be just like her, which I found weird.
I didn't hear that.
You did. Okay, back. Cam Rayner apparently wants to be like a 6-year-old girl. I found that odd.
I mean, I'm sure the 6-year-old girl's a lot more likable than what Cam Rayner is. Yeah. Maybe he knows he's a flog and he wishes he wasn't. I don't know.
Maybe if Cam Rayner reflected on his comments, he would have changed them. Anyway, I just thought I'd like that a lot.
All right, just very quickly before we get into the hot topics, which will be all things trades. I just want to get a few opinions on you from you.
Yes.
Snoop Dogg, success, yes or no?
I no, I'm saying a success. Look, it's not my. It's obviously. Oh well, there was a time I only listened to Snoop Dogg. I listened to no other music other than Snoop Dogg. Um, but in truth, it's probably not my style of music. But he went out there and he tried. I like the way he tried. He
was good.
He really put effort in.
Yeah.
And I admire that of anybody. You go out there and you just freaking try your best. And he did, and he didn't rest on his laurels, and there was a bit of energy about it. I could have done without the special guest Australian stars. Let's put Jessica Melboy and Baker Boy, like the token Australian stars. Yeah, but
all right. Yeah, we don't need it in depth about Snoop Dogg. Just get on with it. After his second Norm Smith medal, would you take Will Ashcroft or Nick Dacos?
Well, look, Will Ashcroft is a very, very, very good player. He's a very good player, but he's not in the same class as Nick Dacos. And I think anybody who knows anything about the game will agree on that, because if you transported Nick Dacos into that Brisbane midfield and he had the Fab Four around him, he would be astronomical. So what I'm saying is it's a fairly easy gig getting a kick when you're surrounded by McCluggage, you're surrounded by Lachie Neale, you're surrounded by Berry going through there, or Dunkley and Bailey and Cam Raider can go through there. That goal, for instance, that one of the two that he kicked, I think he kicked two, one of them from the pocket, this is Ashcroft. Nice finish, but it was beautifully fed out to him by Lachie Neale on his hands and knees at the bottom of a pack, darting a handball out to him. So, yeah, look, and, well, forgot, I didn't even mention Ashcroft's own brother again, isn't a handy play too. But, yeah, good, very good player, Ashcroft, not in the same league as Nick Dacos.
Well, basically, the way I look at it, I'm only asking this question because the morons came out straight after the grand final and made Will Ashcroft's Norm Smith medal all about Nick Dacos, which I didn't quite understand. I understand why we can't celebrate Will Ashcroft and why we can't celebrate Nick Dacos. They're both young guns. But the way I put it is Nick Dacos is a top 3 player in the game. I personally think he's the best player in the game, but I don't reckon there's a person out there, if they're being honest with themselves, that wouldn't have him in the top 3. Like they would. Yeah. Will Ashcroft, as great as he is, and as great as his finals performances have been, and he will probably be a top 3 player in the game at some point, he is still only the 4th best midfielder in his team. Like, Lachie Neale's their best. Josh Dunkley is just one of their best and fairest in the premiership year. He's a gun, an underrated gun. And Hugh McCluggage is just probably close to the most underrated player in the competition, if I'm being honest. Like that, he's just unbelievable. And he's played some pretty big games too. So as good as Ashcroft is, he's still number 4 in his own team, whereas Nick Dacos is a top 3 player in the whole competition. So I don't even know why. Well, I don't know why we're talking about it. It's probably because I wrote it down in my notes, and we probably shouldn't, but I just wanted to address it because it has been something that has been spoken about recently.
And you, sorry if I can jump in, you know what else is looking better now than it did at the time? Well, I was a big fan of it at the time, but Billy Frampton's move on Harris Andrews in the 23 grand final, how much better and better and better is that decision aging? Because in a 4-point win, if Billy Frampton doesn't do it, and I've always said this, but it's been highlighted more and more now, if Billy Frampton doesn't do the job he does, we don't win that game. No. Given Harris Andrews' performance in big finals, we just don't win that game. We lose by 3 or 4 goals.
Oh, yeah. Harris Andrews is an absolute star. And I think in general, our 23 premiership is looking better every year that goes by because Brisbane are a bloody good team.
And how's David King's little observation about this time last year that they should sack Chris Fagan at the end of the year and go hammer and tong at Chris Scott? And he's gone on to then, of course, win the next 2 premierships.
He's won the same amount of premierships than what Chris Scott has. He's a better coach than Chris Scott. I'll die on that hill. He took Brisbane from a laughing stock to 3 grand finals in a row and back-to-back premierships. Yeah. Chris Scott just buys his players farms and all that kind of shit, and has still only won 2 flags. And that first one was Bomber Thompson's team.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like Chris Scott, but I just think and I like David King ordinarily, but that is one of the worst takes, if that's what you young people say these days, one of the worst takes of the last decade.
Right. Like I've said this a lot in the last 2 or 3 years. I've said that I honestly believe, taking my bias out of it, I honestly believe that Craig McRae's the best coach in the comp. It's easy to say now that Fagan's gone back to back, but the more I think about it, I think he is the best coach in the competition, Chris Fagan. From where he took this team to 3 grand final, well, to like 7 or 8 final series in a row, the 3 grand finals in a row, to back premierships. He's a great coach. So anyway, Brownlow medal very quickly because we could talk about this for a long time.
Seems so long ago.
Yeah.
Well, we can't complain too much given the events of last night.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. But,
yes, where Nick couldn't even win our own best and fairest, so we can't really be.
I think we can complain. I'm so sick to fucking death of Nick Dacos coming runner up every single year in the Brownlow medal to some guy who is a good player but not a great player, who just polls way more votes than what he deserves. So Matt Rowe's now, so Cripps won it last year, record-breaking amount of votes, and then Matt Rowe is second now for votes ever in a single season. Both years, Nick Dacos runner-up. It's a joke that these guys that can have a one-off great season can just poll so highly and beat Nick Dacos, who, runner-up 3 years in a row, or I think he might have been third in that in 23. I think he's polled more Brownlow votes in a 3-year patch than anyone in the history of the game without winning a Brownlow.
Well, he's obviously not the type of player like, if you just look back over the last 5 years, you got Wines, you got Neil's won a couple, Cripps has won a couple, now Rowe. Like, what's the common
Tom Mitchell? Yeah.
Tom Mitchell. What's the common denominator?
Prittis.
They're Prittis. They're all in and under, very much inside mid players. Although Rowe runs out of packs.
I tell you what, Rao's better. I'm a big Matt Rao fan, and people that have been listening to us all year know that. I don't think he deserved the Brownlow, but I think he's a very good player. And if there was one guy that I would have been happy to win it, other than Nick Dacos, that it would have been him. But it's still the wrong decision. It's a disgraceful decision, and I miss the days where Chris Judd and Gary Ablett and Swanee and Dangerfield and Dusty and Nat Fife and Jimmy Bartell and all these actual gun footballers that have got a little bit of X factor about them, that they're actually special. I miss the days when they were winning Brownlows. And it wasn't that long ago. It was only 10, 15 years ago these guys are doing it. And now, like you mentioned, all these like sort of inside midfielders who are solid players are winning it. Nick Dacos is in the same category as that first group that I said, the Ablett group. But he's just he gets a lot of votes. It's just there's always someone else that gets 3 votes for 16 disposal games, as Five pointed out last night. It's just a joke.
Well, it's the umpire's focus is getting narrower and narrower. Like, I obviously go back a lot further than you. So I remember when Ross Glendinning won in '83, a centre half back. Ruckman used to regularly win back in the 70s and 80s, and it just seemed, and then it just became purely midfielders, and now it's come to the point where it's purely inside midfielders. So if you're more than a metre away from an umpire, it's just like they got the blinkers on. Umpires only see players who are within a 2-metre radius of themselves.
Well, they can't even make the right decisions on the field. How are we giving them this responsibility? And I was in the camp of get the umpires out of here. Like, they don't deserve this award. Like, this is meant to be our main award. It's over, it's over 100 years old. Get rid of them, because we can't trust these morons. But I'm now at the stage where, before we do that, before we get rid of the umpires in terms of Brownlow voting, maybe let's just give them stats. Give them stats. Now, the one thing I'm worried about is it's going to go the other way, that all of a sudden it's just purely off stats. So I reckon probably the best way to do it is to say, okay, let's write down 6 names before we look at stats. These are the 6 guys that we really like the game of, and then they get the stats to back it up. So let's just say someone like let's just put Tom Mitchell out there back in his Hawthorn days when he was getting, 40 plus disposals and, they weren't the best games ever. If Tom Mitchell wasn't in their top 6 originally, and then they look at the stats and like, oh, he got 40, well, you still don't give him a vote because like he obviously didn't catch your eye. You know what I mean? So the stats, it'd be good if they could have stats to sort of back up how they're feeling. So if they put Matt Rowell in there, oh yeah, Matt Rowell, we thought he was good, put him in our top 6. Oh shit, he only had 16 disposals. So then you know to take him out. So that's probably the best way I can think of it. So they can use stats, but it's not all based off stats.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, that's not a bad way. Yep.
The Copeland Trophy, well done to Darcy Cameron. Before we talk about Nick not winning that, how bloody good is it that Darcy Cameron is now a best and fairest winner? Like when you look at what we got him for from Sydney, absolutely nothing, and now he's top 3 ruckman in the competition. He's a best and fairest winner. He's a premiership player. How fucking good is that?
Yeah. No, really good. Well, are we going to reveal the Julian Rowe Medal for the last time? Because Dermot is actually putting the kibosh on the Julian Rowe Medal for next year. It will be no more because it dawned on us that nobody cares. As I predicted at the start of our podcasting careers, nobody cares, Dermot. So, and also, it's not going to be as fun anymore now that we can't give Will Hoskin-Elliott negative votes.
Yes, we will be doing the Julian Rowe Medal for the last time at the end of the podcast. And I'll give you this little what's the word I'm looking for? Spoiler, Nick.
Yeah.
For the Julian Rowe Medal. So last year, our top 10 were the exact same as the Collingwood best and fairest.
It was famously.
Not in the same order, but it was the same 10 players. This year, it's very different.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's one player that we didn't have in our top 10 that probably should be featuring in the top 10.
Really? That's interesting. So the Julian Rowe Medal isn't going out in a blaze of glory, apparently.
No.
It's going out a little bit embarrassed. Right.
Well done to DC. I'll quickly
tell us later that player in question. Who gave him the most votes between you and I? It's basically, who was to blame for him missing out?
Do you want me to tell you now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was to blame.
You were to blame, right? Okay.
Well, in fairness, you gave, I think, over 100 more votes than what I did this year. You were very kind with your votes. I wasn't as kind. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. And very quickly, I just want to, because this is a trade special, very, very quickly, I want to get through this. The bounce is gone. What are your feelings?
Oh, look, I don't like it. I don't like it for a couple of reasons, because, and for the same reasons that James Hird has articulated. It's just going to become who's the tallest ruckman. That's all it is now. And who's the tallest ruck? Forget about ruck craft. Well, the craft is a word I hate. It's crept in the last 10 years, but let's adopt that word for lack of another one. It just dispenses with any ruck craft. It's now just, and also the second thing is it's an event, like especially at the start of a grand final. The bounce of the ball is quite dramatic. Now it's just going to be some guy coming in, weedy guy coming in, tossing it up with his fingers. It just hasn't got the same gravitas.
No, I agree. I 100% agree. And Josh Jenkins said it on SEN. It pretty much is the depth of the role that he played, and that is the backup ruck, the pinch hit ruckman, who's mainly a forward. Like he said, he wouldn't be able to compete with these new rules in that ruck. You know, the Lee Browns of the world wouldn't have been able to compete. Yeah. It's disappointing. For me, like I was very big on potentially trying to secure a centre half back in this trade period. Like we missed out on Silvani and that, but I really wanted to get one so we could have Darcy Moore play centre half forward and second ruck. So I always loved him as the second ruck where he could leap at the ball. I mean, that's pretty much the end to that. Like I'm not sure if he'll be able to get the best out of himself as a ruckman with this new ruck rule. But someone that I think can, and we'll touch on him now instead of later, is Mason Cox. Does this breathe fire back into Mason Cox's career?
Well, on the basis of what I said, that it's going to benefit the tallest ruckman, and he's the tallest ruckman in the league. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm giving him a 1-year contract right now. I'm not waiting to the end of the trade period. This is huge. This is huge for him. And, his manager, I heard on Trade Radio yesterday or the day before, say that they are very hopeful that he will still be at Collingwood next year. That they are keeping their options open, but he really wants to be at Collingwood. So hopefully that this is and it's funny that the manager actually said the exact same thing, that he thinks with this new ruck rule or the depth of the bounds that it will help Mason Cox. So
Yeah.
the other one that pretty much 99.9% of the AFL community, fans, media, coaches, players, everyone involved is happy to see the back of is the sub. So I'm assuming that you're happy to see the back of the sub, so we'll move past that.
No. I've always been a supporter of the sub rule.
Oh, right. That's because you like being different. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, I'm only motivated by being different. Regardless of what I really think, I'll let my motivation for being different override that. Don't take the coaches haven't got the best interest in the game always at heart.
It's not the coaches, it's everybody, Mick.
I'm talking about coaches specifically because they're driven to change. They haven't got the best interest of the game at heart. They've got the best interest of their club at that moment of time in mind.
I don't think anybody wants to see a player sitting there for 3.5 quarters at the back bench getting cold, especially some kid on debut with 50 of his family members sitting up in the stands. It's a disgrace. It was a disgraceful rule, and everybody other than you is happy to see it.
Hold on. It was the norm. It was the norm. Back in the day, you're talking 50, 60 years ago, people used to sit on the bench the whole day and not come on. What are you talking about?
Years ago, Mick.
Yeah, I know, but nothing's changed.
You can change the game for the better. You don't have to be the same as what it was 50, 60 years ago.
Why I like it is because the AFL has imposed this rule on us that a player who receives a head knock and has got concussion must sit out. Now, I'm not saying that, okay, fair enough. That's fair enough. But you've imposed this rule that this player must come off, different to any other injury, okay? So now you're leaving the side one short in effect, okay? One short in their rotations. So what happens next year when we've got 5 in the bench, somebody comes off with a head knock, can't go back on early in the game, for the rest of the game, you're 1 down because the AFL have imposed this rule on you, okay? Then people are going to be turning around saying, oh, let's bring the sub back.
No one will be saying that, I guarantee.
I will be saying that. I guarantee I'll be saying that.
Yeah, but no one really listens to you.
I'm in the industry.
Jesus.
Look, I've got a microphone. I'm in the industry.
You got 5 on the bench now. The rotations haven't gone up. So essentially, if you want a player to sit there for 3 quarters and cover an injury, you have every right to do that as a coach now. But it's up to you how you use that player. So you can have you can spread it out evenly, and the game time can go down a little bit for 5 players or whatever, or you can just have that one guy sitting there waiting for an injury and then put him on the ground whenever you feel like it. So no one's going to be saying that. If there's an injury, if there's a concussion, you'll be like, well, if you haven't used your sub properly, then that's your own fault. All right. Anyway, this is a trade episode, so it's time to get into all the hot topics.
We've listened to the wisdom of Sir Winston Churchill and the brilliance of genius Albert Einstein. In the 60s, we heard the great JFK. Now, all the great minds are talking footy.
Okay. So I'm really concerned heading into this trade period. I'm really, really bloody concerned. I'm looking at teams like Brisbane, who are going to lure Oscar Allen and Sam Draper. I'm looking at Geelong, who are going to get Rowan Marshall and potentially Charlie Curnow. Looking a little bit less likely now, but it's still a possibility. I'm looking at the Hawks that are going to get Zach Merritt. I'm looking at Gold Coast that are going to get Christian Petrarca and potentially Jamara Ugle-Hagan. And maybe Adelaide could do something as well, because they were in the mix to get Petrarca and they lost out to Gold Coast, but it wouldn't surprise me now that they'd put their attention in someone else. All those teams are the top teams around us. They're all going to get better. We won 3 of our last 9 matches of the year, and we have an aging list. So what are we going to do this trade period so we don't get left behind? Because I guarantee if we do not do something, we're not going to get better. There will be no improvement, because these older guys, if anything, they're going to decline a little bit. You're not going to get your side bottoms and Jeremy Howes of the world getting better. It's just not going to happen. So we need some gun players from other teams to come. And we'll get into a list of players, similar to what we did last year, if you listen to those episodes, in a second. But before we do that, I want to talk about our own players first. So Jamie Elliott's re-signed. So that's a big tick. We needed that. 60 goals for the year, 8 in the finals.
Well, can I say something about that?
Yeah.
Can I say something about that? And I mentioned this to you on the phone the other day. If I was Jamie Elliott, I'd be sitting back and I'd be saying, I've been at this club 10 years, however long it's been. I've given them really good service. I've just had my best year. Now, if you believe the media reports, which are hit and miss, I know, but this one seems to be consistent, Jamie Elliott has been on is currently on $400,000 a year before he's just signed this new contract.
He's up to about 6 something.
650, yeah, about 650. But before that, while these negotiations were going on, he was on $400 a year, and Collingwood had agreed to up it to $425 or $450. Okay, that was their initial bargaining position. When you consider that the average wage of the AFL is apparently $500,000 a year, I'd be sitting there as Jamie Elliott. I'd be looking across the locker room, and I'd see a guy like Harry Perryman, who I like. Harry Perryman. He's a good, solid citizen.
Top 5 of the best and fairest last night.
Top 5 of the best and fairest. Good, solid citizen.
Making Kane Corns look silly.
Yeah, but my point is, he came across to Collingwood last year on free agency for a reported 950,000 a year, whatever it was in that region. I'd be Jamie Elliott. I'm thinking that guy is on more than double my wage. What universe is that correct in? That is outrageous. How can he, who isn't close to the play that Jamie Elliott's been for Collingwood, be on more than double? The system is broken. Something is wrong when that's happening. Something's wrong when Carlton are receiving pick 19 for Jack Sorvani. The system is out of whack somewhere.
Can I give my opinion just to go completely off topic while we're talking about the system? And I don't know how we're going to fix this, but there is something that makes me feel really uncomfortable about the fact that a guy like Oscar Allen, the captain of the West Coast Eagles, who finished last on the ladder with 1 win, can walk out as a free agent and go to the team that's just won back-to-back premierships. The captain of the bottom place team walking out and going to Brisbane, who have won the last 2 premierships. I'm sorry, that should not be allowed. How we fix that, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is, I think if you maybe, and this would hurt Collingwood, so this proves that I'm not being biased here. If you finish top 4, I'm not sure if you should be able to attract a free agent at a certain price. So say, for example, you finish top 4, you can't offer someone $1 million a year, a free agent, then that next off season. Because otherwise, teams like Brisbane, like I just listed these teams, Brisbane, Geelong, Gold Coast, Hawthorn, all these teams that are already up there for competing for premierships are about to get stronger. Whereas teams like Essendon and Carlton, who we hate, but all jokes aside, they're going to just get worse and worse and worse. West Coast are going to get worse. These teams are going to get worse. We're going to get to the stage of the competition where every year it's the same 6 teams competing. Like, we don't want that as a competition, and it needs to be fixed. And
but the only way to fix that, because you got restraint, you got the law of the land, restraint of trade. And the only way for the AFL to get around that, as I understand it, is to have all representatives agree to it. So all clubs representative, the players' PA agree to it.
But why? It's the AFL's game.
Yeah, I know, but
why are they being held hostage by the players and the clubs?
Because you're still subject to the laws of the land. And the laws of the land saying you cannot restrict trade. And so that's my basic understanding of it, that the AFL would have to go to all the clubs, have them agree, sign up against it, and then go to the Players Association and have them sign up against it. And they're not going to do that.
I mean, it's good for us because we are one of those competitors. And, last year it didn't go well, but we were able to get Dan Houston, 12 months after we won a premiership, a 2-time All-Australian. So, I'm happy when it works out for us, but realistically, it's not good for the game. It's not.
Did it work? Did it work out for us?
No, so far no, but so far no. Yeah. But at the time, it felt like we get in a 2-time All-Australian. I know we missed the finals that year, but we're still 12 months ago. We're the premiers. So Anyway, so Jamie Elliott staying. I expect Brodie Myercheck to announce that he's leaving very, very soon. Now that the best and fairest is done, and if that's the case, we'll show him a bit of respect in the next podcast, the review, and talk about what a great warrior he's been for the club.
Great, he's been a great pickup.
Great, amazing, and you wouldn't hold it against him for getting those 3 years at Melbourne or North Melbourne, wherever he's going, because I think his body kind of is a little bit cooked now. And we've got guys like Charlie West that are ready to hopefully come in. So hopefully for player and club, it's the best thing to go our separate ways. And we'll be cheering him on when he's not playing for the Pies. Can you stop coughing?
Okay, yes, Stephen, I will. I'll stop. It won't happen again.
4 other players that have been delisted. Oleg Markov, premiership player, so we'll always be grateful for that.
Get to Will Hoskin-Elliott.
Finn McRae, Ash Johnson, and Cardboard Charlie Dean, as Paige would call him. They've all been delisted.
Well, Hoskin-Elliott wasn't delisted. He jumped before he was pushed, I suppose, but yeah.
Ash Johnson, he could have been anything, so that's disappointing that didn't work out. Finn McRae, another one of our high picks. I think we picked him 1 pick before Max Holmes, so that one hurts. And Charlie just was probably never going to work out. Although those feet injuries and stuff probably didn't help him, so that was a shame.
Did we give McRae enough opportunity? I'm not saying we didn't.
No, we didn't. We simply didn't. He was either sub or half forward flank. He never got to play four quarters in his natural position, which was midfielder. And that's what I'm scared we're going to do to Ed Allen as well. So hopefully next year.
Well, he got the best young player award last. So
I did see that. Yeah.
At least they acknowledged something, which is good to hear that they acknowledge something.
We don't have a lot of young players though, do we?
No.
So 3 guys that are sort of in limbo at the moment. Tom Mitchell has been told to look around. If he can't find a home, he may potentially come back to the Pies if there's a list spot available. I'm hearing West Coast might be interested, so that's one to look out for. Yeah. Big Meso, as we talked about before, he's one that I do want to keep. Even if I don't expect him to be best 22, but if he's there as backup for our best and fairest winner, if something happens to Big Das, then that would be good, especially with the new ruck rule. And Lockie Sullivan is another one that still hasn't been offered a contract, which surprised me because he played 14 games before he hurt his knee. And his manager was on trade radio yesterday and basically said that, he's going to have to wait. Unlike Mitchell and Cox, the club has basically said we would like you to stay at the club, but we're still going to have to wait until after the trade period. So I feel like he's probably ahead of Mitchell and Cox in the pecking order for the club that want and who they want to keep. But it's definitely an interesting one. The same thing happened to him last year. I remember he had to wait until after the trade period and he got that contract. So it could just be something that he has to put up with for the rest of his career.
Well, you'd think with some of his competitors, or some people who are similar types on the same level, like Mitchell and McRae, with them not being there next year, or probably not being there in Mitchell's case, he wouldn't be in this position. He'd be a bit more secure.
I don't think the club look at him as an inside mid at AFL level. I think he's that sort of defensive forward. So I'm not sure if he is fighting for that same spot as Tom Mitchell.
Yeah,
in
maybe.
fact, I'd almost say he definitely isn't. So,
okay.
And the last one we'll talk about Hoskin-Elliott. He wasn't on my notes because I think we already covered that. He retired quite a while ago.
Yes.
It's another premiership hero. So thanks for your services.
Hero, I'm not too sure about that, but
the last one we'll talk about just quickly. It looks like Bobby Hill's going to stay, Mick. Everything he's saying on social media, the way he's acting, he's staying, which is a good result.
Okay, I got a little bit to say. Can I say it now?
Well, are you just going to repeat exactly what you said?
No,
I'm
not. No, because there's been an update since the last podcast. Okay, right. Last podcast I said I want him gone, and I maintain that I'm only stronger in my opinion. Since
if this is about any potential luring other players from other clubs, We'll talk about that later. So is it?
Okay, yeah,
So-
in part, but not in
Well,
whole.
we'll
So
wait
I'll
till we
leave
get
that-
we'll
I'll
wait till
leave
we
that
get to
bit-
that player, and then you can just butt in with the Bobby Hill thing then.
Okay, I'll leave that bit out, but I'll just say this little bit.
Okay.
The day after the grand final, I believe it was, Bobby Hill was reported to have said, if my wife and children go back to WA, I'll have to follow them. Okay, that's what he was reported to have said, and I believe it to be true. Okay, so does that mean if they go back in June next year, Bobby Hill gets on the plane straight away and goes across there with them, abandoning the club? Okay, does it mean that? Or does it mean he plays out the year and he trains as hard as anybody and gives his all for Collingwood for the rest of the year and then leaves at the end of the year? Or does it mean that he piss farts around for 6 months, plays video games at home, doesn't turn up to training and doesn't play? What exactly does it mean? Because that comment, I'll have to go if they go, doesn't fill me with any confidence. And that just reinforces that, yeah, we should be getting rid of the guy because he's one of our only real trade capital, as I see it. Anyway, go ahead. We'll get back to him later, but I think he has to go.
All right, let's get to the fun part of the podcast. Let's go through a long list of players that could potentially join Collingwood. And can I just say, so last year's list, when I came out with these players, there was a section of guys that we hadn't been linked with at all at that stage. This is before the trade period that I read out. And one of those guys that I talked about for about a minute was Tim Membry. And at that point, there'd been no link to Collingwood whatsoever. And I was like, yeah, I would like to get this guy for nothing. So even though some of these names that I might read out a little bit later in the list might just sound like guys that we're no chance of getting because we haven't been linked with, you just never know what's going to happen in the trade period. We would have been saying the same thing about Membry last year. So we'll start though with the big. I've got the big three in caps lock on my notes, and the first one, Clayton Oliver. Now, my opinion on Clayton Oliver before we get to yours, and I've said this a lot to you, and I've said this a lot to the panel show members in our group chat, that I am all in on getting Clayton Oliver. Now, it doesn't sound like it's going to happen. It sounds like he's going to go to fucking GWS. It hasn't been confirmed yet. He has met up with the Giants. But for people that aren't across the news, obviously he's been kicked out of Melbourne, and they're open to paying more than half of his contract, which would be $700,000 a year. So you're basically, the thing about Oliver is you could get him for a third or fourth round pick because they're trying to gift him, and you only have to pay about maybe $650 a year for a guy that is 28 years of age and was an absolute elite superstar in the competition until about 2 years ago. Now, he was a top 5 pick in his draft. So essentially, since his underage football, since probably he was 14, 15 years of age until he was about 26 years of age, he was a gun player because he broke out in his second year of football. He's been a gun since his second year in the AFL. So that's basically, I reckon, 10 to 12 years of him being at the absolute high standard of whatever competition he's playing. You don't just all of a sudden, at 26 years of age, you don't just lose that. You don't lose that. Maybe when you're in your 30s, yes, but not when you're 26 years of age. He's had an appalling 2 years, and a lot of it is due to maybe culture, which, he's a huge part of that bad culture. I get that. And, his off-field antics and all that. But I don't believe that he's lost the talent. I think he's maybe lost the desire, maybe a little bit of fitness because he's not training as hard as he once was, and he was a really hard trainer. So you could get this guy for $650 a year for absolutely nothing. And if you have the right culture and you get him focused again, you could be getting a top 5 midfielder at a competition. So you put that in alongside Nick Dacos and all those guys, that will be huge. This is how before I said, how are we going to get better? How are we going to match the teams like the Geelongs and the Brisbanes and the Hawthorns that are going to continue to get better? This is the number one way to do it. It could backfire, I get that. But if it backfires, at least we're not paying a lot for him, and at least we didn't trade a lot for him. I'm worried that we are too gutless as a club to consider it. I'm worried that we're going to say, he doesn't fit our culture. who the fuck cares? We're not Richmond. If this was Richmond with a bunch of young kids, I 100% understand that, yeah, maybe you wouldn't want to take that risk and have him around the young kids. He's not going to come in and be around guys like Pendlebury and Sidebottom and these kind of guys and lead them astray, are they? That's laughable. Even the young guys like Nick Dacos, for example. Can you see Clayton Oliver being bad for Nick Dacos? No, he's too mature for that. So I just don't see a world where this could backfire. I just don't. I can only see either upside or it just stays the same. Like, he's not that good and we don't get any better, but we don't get any worse. I don't see a negative to this. I just don't think that our club is brave enough, which really pisses me off. It really fucking pisses me off because we're all in again. We've re-signed Pendlebury, we've re-signed Sidebottom, we've re-signed Howe. We're all in again. So we need to somehow get better. And with the fact that we've got no draft picks, I don't see how that's going to happen unless we try and get ourselves a bargain like Clayton Oliver. Righty, I've had my say. What do you think, Mick?
Well, I wanted to get Clayton Oliver at the end of the previous year when he was touted around for the right deal. Because I said at the end of 2024, Dacos needs support in that midfield. Crying out for support. We didn't get, like as we just spoke about, look at the support the Brisbane have got in their midfield around them. Dacos' support is a 22-year-old Ned Long and a 37-year-old. That's a lot of his support in the midfield. Okay, that was in retrospect, was that ever going to really get it done for a premiership? Looking back now. And I wasn't looking back now because I said it in the last year. We need support. So even more so now. And the deal we can get Oliver for, as you just said, is just too attractive. I'd be very disappointed if they didn't go hammer and tong for Oliver. But I got a suspicion they're not going to, which is very basically I agree with everything you say.
We've been a weak club in this kind of way since the Malthouse era. Like we passed up on Ben Cousins and Brendan Favola, and I get that those two were amazing at their second clubs. You know, Cousins was solid and Fev had his issues. So, but it's just the fact that we're not ever willing to take those risks. You see the Giants, for example, they're all in on Clayton Oliver. You know who else they were all in on? Jesse Hogan. And look what look what he's become. They got him for a 4th round pick when no one wanted to touch him. Yeah. He's now a Coleman medalist. They were all in on Jake Stringer. Like, that could still pay off. They're brave. The Giants are a brave club, and we're weak. Yeah. We're weak. We go for the guy, like, we go for good players. I get, so I'm not, we're all in on, and the next guy we're going to talk about, wrapped that we're going after him. But, like, in terms of the troubled player that we can get for nothing, this club in the Malthouse era and the Buckley era and now in the Craig McRae era, we've never been brave enough to do it, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, well, people may reflect on what you say. We might get comments in relation to Favola and Cousins saying, well, it didn't work out anyway. But the point you're making, these guys, you're not taking a huge risk with them. Like when Favola went from Carlton to Brisbane, and especially Cousins when he went to Richmond, they weren't huge deals. Okay, they were being shown the door by their previous club, so you're not taking a big risk. So there's huge potential upside with these trades. But as you say, we've never been brave enough to take that.
Well, one of our panel members said in the group chat when I was saying this that they reckon that maybe we were scared off after taking the risk on Dane Beams when we got him back from Brisbane. But my point was, well, we paid an absolute fortune to get him in terms of draft capital and then how much we're paying him. So the downside was huge to that. And of course that happened. Whereas this, like, we're not paying Oliver anything. Well, $650 a year most likely. And we're giving up no draft capital to get him. So there is no real risk to it.
Compare him to the 40, how many people on the list these days? 44, 45. Compare him to the 45th player on the list. Is he better than that?
Oh, way better. And he could potentially be our second best player if it all
exactly
clicks.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not sure. And even if, because it works out well, because if Melbourne are looking, I'm not sure what Melbourne want back for him. There's talk of they're only maybe looking at a 3rd rounder or something, depending on how much of the salary they pay. But of course, Maya check. is going there. Can that be?
I did say that to you, but I completely forgot. He's just an unrestricted free agent.
Oh, he's unrestricted free agent, is he?
Course,
okay, right, yeah. All right, yeah, fair enough.
The next player I'm gonna talk about. I had him down the list a little bit actually, but I want to put him way up to number 2 on the list now, just because he fits in the same category as Clayton Oliver, and that is Jamara Ugle-Hagan. Another player, for me, there's a lot more risk with an Ugle-Hagan than an Oliver. I get that. But again, you're not paying a lot for him. And the upside is huge. Your former number 1 pick. He's played a few good games against us. I remember a few months ago we were talking about him and I said, no way. No way would I want him. At that point, I think everything was going perfectly for us. We were, 10 points clear, top of the ladder. We were loving life. Now we're in a position where, like I said before, I'm worried that we're going to get left behind. So my opinions change. I think our culture is strong enough to be able to try and get the best out of a Jamara and a Clayton Oliver. And even if it backfires, yep. Even if it backfires, I think with the players that we've got at the club, it's not going to hurt the culture. I am all in on getting him as well. Sounds like he's going to go to Gold Coast, maybe, if the meeting goes well with them. I haven't heard much about that since it was reported he was going up there. Personally, I want him because again, you're getting for a 4th rounder. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Well, I've always wanted him as well. My philosophy is very, very good players that you can acquire for very, very little, relatively speaking, don't come around too often. Okay, the likes of, as I said, like Stringer. Stringer's the type of guy who could win you a final. Say what you like about him. He's the type of guy who can win you a final.
Yeah, he
was going for bugger all last year. I wanted him. We didn't take him. Ugle-Hagan, the same. He can win you a big game, and he could potentially have another 10-year career in front of him. Clayton Oliver, as we just discussed, these guys, they don't come up very often where you can get them for bugger all. So my philosophy is get them. It's always been my philosophy. Get these very good players for bugger all. But the backfire thing was that in relation to one of Ugle-Hagan's discharging a weapon?
Yes, yeah.
Was it? I thought it was. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, once again, I think we're too gutless as a club to go after this. We'll play it safe and we'll get all the nice guys and we'll probably finish 6th or 7th on the ladder.
Yep.
That's all right.
Yep.
But what I am wrapped about is the next guy that we were talking about, and that's Bailey Humphrey. Now, strong links now. He's met up with Fly. He's also met up with Melbourne, Stephen King and Nathan Jones. And they're in a pretty good position in terms of Petrarca's going to Gold Coast. So they could do something there. Basically, his manager, Bailey Humphrey's manager, said he's not meeting up with any clubs. Well, it's now been confirmed he's met up with Collingwood and Melbourne. I suspect that he'll meet up with Carlton as well. That's the other club that's been linked with him. And the club has come out and said, we're not trading him. But I've heard this before, and if he's going to make life difficult for Gold Coast, if he really wants to come back to Victoria, maybe they will bite the bullet. My opinion is if he wants to come back to Victoria, my gut feel is he'll want to play for Collingwood because Melbourne and Carlton, they might be able to get the deal done a lot easier than what we could. But if he's just looking at, I don't care how it gets done, which club do I want to play for, I don't see why he would go to Melbourne when they're in a down. Like they're losing Petrarca, Oliver, Stephen May. They're basically rebuilding. Why would you want to leave an exciting team like Gold Coast right now to play for Melbourne? Carlton, the exact same position. They've lost Tom DeConing, Jack Silvani, possibly Charlie Curnow. They're obviously going to start rebuilding. They're in the down too. Why would you want to leave an exciting club? Collingwood, we're still going to be up there if we could get good players like Bailey Humphrey. For example, you get to play alongside Nick Dacos in that midfield. You get to play in front of the big crowds, hopefully big finals. You got Anzac Day. You got all that kind of stuff. If I was him, I would be choosing Collingwood over Melbourne and Carlton every day of the week. So my personal opinion, and this is based on nothing, it's either he stays at Gold Coast or he goes to Collingwood. Can we get the deal done? It's going to be hard. It's going to be bloody hard. We don't have our first round pick, obviously.
No, it's not hard.
Hear me out. But there's every chance that basically, I think it was Pat or Paige said in the group chat that we wouldn't be wasting our time if we didn't think we could do it, which is 100% true. And the club's basically said that we can get it done as well. No one thought we could get the Dan Houston trade done because we had given up our first round pick that year for Lockie Schultz as well, and we were able to do it. So potentially there could be a way, and he is 100% someone that can make us better. Not only now, but for the next 10 years, if you put him and Nick Dacos together, because I believe he's going to be a midfielder. I know he's more of a forward at the moment, but I think he's going to be a midfielder. He's a gun player. If you don't know much about him, top 5 pick in only a few years ago, 2023 was his first season. And he is someone that we should desperately go after, and it seems we are. I just don't have much faith that Gold Coast are going to let him go. I'll let you have your say next. I have a feeling this has something to do with Bobby Hill.
It's got something to do with Bobby Hill. Humphrey, I've always rated him. I've liked him for a few years now. He reminds me of a young Jordan De Goey. Yeah, and it's quite easy to get this deal done. The fact that Collingwood are even looking at him leads me to believe that they're thinking they're of the same mind as me. Hopefully they're of the same mind as me. The only way we can get this deal done is by using Bobby Hill. That's the only collateral we have. And it would be a 3 or 4 club deal. Bobby would go back to WA, one of the Western Australian clubs. They would release hopefully, or definitely a first rounder, hopefully a second first rounder as well. I know Bobby's image brand has been damaged. I accept that. So it might be a first rounder and an early second rounder. We could use that for Humphrey. We could, they'd send their picks to Gold Coast, or Gold Coast can then on-trade them again. I don't know. But that's how we do it. Now, if Collingwood don't utilise this asset they have in Bobby, they will deserve everything they get. Because once somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Okay, Bobby has shown the club who he is. He's a guy who's not committed to the club. So if we keep him and he acts up again next year, I'm not blaming Bobby Hill for that next year. I'm not blaming him one bit. I'm blaming the club 100%. So that's how you get Humphrey. You get him by using Bobby Hill. Week in, week out, Humphrey will be a much better player for Collingwood than Bobby Hill. Bobby Hill, of course, has had his moments in huge games. I accept that. And, Norm Smith medalist, you can't speak highly than that, but he doesn't bring it. He doesn't bring it week in, week out. Even forgetting about when he does play. When he does play, he still is very inconsistent. This Humphrey guy, as you say, will be able to go into the midfield, and he's damaging up forward. So, for crying out loud, when somebody shows you who they are, you believe them.
Let me just say that Bobby Hill, for me, is one of those guys that I look at that say, and I think, yeah, he can make us better. Because he essentially wasn't part of our team last year. So he's like a new recruit. I don't want to lose Bobby Hill. I feel like he's saying and doing all the right things at the moment, that he's committed to the club again. You say that's who he is. I think that's harsh. People can go through shit. Yeah, I'm pissed off with him. Fucking oath I'm pissed off with him. But it doesn't mean that he's a bad person or not committed to the club or anything.
Hold on. I never said he was a bad person.
No, but
I said he wasn't committed to the club. And I think he's demonstrated that loud and clear.
It means he fucked up in a period of time. Doesn't mean he has a good record before that. Doesn't mean he's going to do it again. Maybe it was just a difficult patch of his life and it'll be sorted. And that's what I'm hoping. I would love to see a world where we keep Bobby Hill and get Bailey Humphrey.
Well, I can't see it. How are we going to get Bailey Humphrey?
Well, that's what people were saying about Dan Houston last year. We found a way. We found a way. So if I had to choose between the two, I'll choose Bailey Humphrey. Only because, there's more question marks over a Bobby Hill. And Bailey Humphrey's about 5 years younger, maybe even more. So, yeah, I would choose a Humphrey if I had to choose between the two of them. But I really would love both of them to be there. For us to be the best versions of ourselves next year and to compete with those top teams still, we need Bobby Hill at his best and a guy like a Bailey Humphrey coming to the club and being at his best. So that's where I sit. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, though. I don't think he'll be a Collingwood player next year. I think he's going to stay at Gold Coast. I believe he wants to leave and he'll want to come to Collingwood. I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Is his manager using this as leverage for his next contract? Could be just something as simple as that.
I don't reckon. I think I could be wrong in saying this. I think I heard on Trade Radio that he's got 3 years left on his contract.
No, okay.
I think that he's might be a little bit worried, especially now that Petrarca's joined, that he won't be able to take that next step as a midfielder. They're very similar type. He's a bit smaller than Petrarca, but they are similar types of players.
Yeah. I read yesterday or even this morning that the Petrarca Adelaide deal fell over because Petrarca wanted more money.
Yeah.
Come on, Petrarca.
Yeah.
When's enough enough?
Yeah,
God.
I know.
Brand Petrarca.
I mean,
Bloody hell.
Yeah, Petrarca was someone that I've been keen on all year. And my gut was telling me that he would end up at Collingwood because I thought, well, we've been talking about how we're going to get a big fish all season. I know that he wanted to come to us last year and we wanted him. I just felt like it was going to happen. You know, he's grew up a Collingwood supporter, his whole family go for Collingwood. So I just thought it was going to happen. Doesn't seem like it was ever a chance. The fact that it was really between Gold Coast and Adelaide in the end was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, you know what? I think we wouldn't have been able to afford it anyway. And he wants more money, and probably not the right player for us in the end. Track. Someone that might be the right player for us in 12 months' time. So I know we'll go back to this trade period in a second, but the news yesterday...
Can I say? Zach Butters.
Zach Butters, yes.
Bang.
Cal Toomey said that we're going to be in the mix, really going hard to get Zach Butters as a free agent next year. It sounds like Port Adelaide will probably match the bid. He will be a restricted free agent, so we'll then have to trade for him. From memory, I still don't think it's going to be as big of a trade as you would normally see if he was, in contract, for example. I think I vaguely go back to the Patrick Dangerfield one. I think Adelaide matched Geelong's bid and that trade for him, and they didn't have to give up an absolute truckload. It was something good, but not for something that you would expect Dangerfield to be worth. Then again, that just might be because Geelong are Geelong and they get everything their own way. But
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I don't profess to understand the ins and outs of all this trade negotiation. But if Collingwood, if he was to nominate Collingwood, okay, and we offered him the contract and Adelaide matched that.
Port Adelaide. Yeah.
Port Adelaide matched that. Any ensuring trades, do they have to, can they bring another club in? Or once Zach Butters is nominated Collingwood, you really have to trade with Collingwood or nobody?
I can't answer. I don't know. I suspect that he would have to surely, as a free agent, it would surely be he would have to go to his nominated club, wouldn't he?
You'd think so, yeah.
But I can't say 100% either way.
Yeah.
But that would be huge. If we could get Zach Butters, that would be massive. Imagine if we got a Bailey Humphrey this year and then Butters as a free agent next year. People who would say, "Oh, Collingwood's midfield's old." All of a sudden, we've got Nick Dacos, Zach Butters, Bailey Humphrey for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
But you know what's going to happen, Mick? We're not going to get either of them.
No, we won't get any of them. No, we're going to get Buller though.
He's next on the list. Good segue.
From the Sydney Swans, we've secured Buller. Rest easy, listeners. We've secured Buller.
I tell you. So, yeah, he was next on the list, so that's a great segue. Jack Buller has requested a trade to Collingwood, so he's already done that. So I suspect that will probably happen on Monday, which is the first day of the trade period. It should be an easy deal to get done. For people who don't know who Buller is, fair enough. He's the key forward from Sydney, 24-year-old. I think he's about 199 centimetres. He can ruck, so he would probably be coming in to take Mason Cox / Dan McStay's role. And highlights are good. It's the only time I ever saw Buller play. I was watching a Sydney game late in the season this season with Oscar, friend of the show, and he took the mark, and he was about to go back to have his set shot, and I was looking at him, and I pride myself on knowing pretty much every player in the competition. And I looked at this guy and I said to Oscar, who the fuck is this? Could not recognize him. Then his name pops up on the screen. Oscar didn't know who he was either. His name pops up on the screen. Jack Buller. Like, the name didn't even ring a bell. And I'm just like, okay. Went back and nailed the goal. I was like, okay. That's the only time I've ever seen him play. I've now watched highlights. Looks like a good mark. Looks like a good kick. At the end of the day, though, they are just highlights. So hopefully he's more of a Darcy Cameron type, not in terms of, the similar type of player, but like a guy from Sydney that we get for nothing that no one knows anything about. And hopefully, maybe he could be a best and fairest winner one day like Darcy Cameron. Well, no one would have ever suspected Cameron to do it. Or the downside, maybe he's going to be more of a Sam Murray type, another guy that we got, an unknown guy from Sydney.
Yep. Jared Healy, whose opinion I respect, he's basically flabbergasted that Sydney lost him.
Yeah,
he rates him, and he thought, hold on, how have we lost this guy? We've lost him. How'd that happen? So
it's a good sign. When it's guys like this that I don't know a lot about, I always go into social media to see what the fans have got to say, because no one knows their own players like the fans, and a lot of Sydney fans are upset that they're losing this guy, which fills me with a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
Next guy, another unknown, who's done a medical of the Pies, and it looks like we could secure him as a delisted free agent, and that's Jacob Blight, big key defender from Richmond. Straight away you think, okay, he's been delisted by Richmond. That's not a great sign. But then you look, and the strongest part of their list is they've got a lot of key defenders. They've got maybe 5, 6, possibly more key defenders. I mean, okay, they're pretty well stocked there. They probably did have to let a couple go. And then you read, and like I said before with Buller, you kind of look at what the fans are saying. A lot of Richmond fans were upset, angry, confused as to why they would get rid of this guy. So, okay, so maybe there is good signs here. Maybe you do see occasionally guys delisted and you don't quite understand why, and then they end up being okay. Like Ned Long, for example, Tim Embry last year. So, yeah, possibly. He's I think 194 centimetre key defender. I don't think he's going to be best 22. He'll be behind Frampton and Moore and Howe. But what the
Reef coming back.
I don't know. He might not be behind Reef. I think they're different types. I think Reef would probably be more competing for a Jeremy Howe spot, whereas Bright will probably be a good replacement for a Frampton or a Moore if they were to go down. Yeah. And that's the thing, is it's all about creating depth, because last year we saw when we lost all those key defenders, we had no one to come in. We had Cardboard Charlie come in, and I'm sure that this guy will be better than that. So, yeah, I do remember you talking about him a few months ago, Nick.
Well, I talked about him right at the start of the year. I saw him play, and it might have even just been a practice game for Richmond. And I'm thinking that is exactly the type of player Collingwood should have secured over the summer, because we coming out of 2024, we were a key back short on the list, I thought. And we did nothing to secure that key back over the summer. And I'm looking at this guy playing for Richmond, and I'm thinking that is the guy, or the type of guy we should have got. Why didn't we get him? And then we went on to ignore key backs again in the mid-season draft. So, it's a position we need to, as you say, add depth to. I'm not saying this guy's going to be in our best 22, as you just stated, but it's an area we've been vulnerable in for a couple of years now. So, yeah, good. Yep.
A few more key defenders that we're kind of been linked with. Anthony Caminiti from St Kilda. They've obviously got Lee Kalir and Jack Silvani and a bunch of guys that have come in. So there is talk that potentially Collingwood are going to target him. He's, for me, right at the top of the list in terms of young key defenders. I would rather him than Blight. Obviously, we'd have to trade for Caminiti. He's in contract, and I think they like him. But he's someone that I would be very happy to secure.
Yeah. Again, a Jeremy Howe type replacement. And I know we're saying we want all these guys now. We obviously know we're not going to get all these guys. What we're saying is the ones we're saying we have to throw our head into the ring for a lot of these guys and hopefully secure some of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So listeners who might say, "Oh, you want every player in the league?" No. We want Collingwood to go hard at the players that we feel we need, in the hope of getting some of them.
Yeah.
So Caminini, of another guy I've always liked. I've always rated him, a bit of a swing man as well. Can go forward.
Yeah, he's drafted as a forward.
Yeah.
Another key defender who I really like, and I haven't heard him. I've heard his name thrown around a little bit as someone that might be looking to move. I haven't heard him linked with any club in particular, and that's the brother of Caleb Sarong, Jai Sarong from Hawthorn.
Right. Yep.
He's played a few games for them, and when he has played, he's looked good. He played a final last year. I think one of their key defenders was injured, and he came in and was solid. I think he won. It was either this year or last year, or maybe both. The best and fairest in the VFL. I think he was in the team of the year in the VFL, and he's a key defender. And with guys like Barras and Battle joining them in the last 12 months, and Sicily already there. There's talk that he'll want more opportunity. So he's someone that I like. And then, in terms of key defenders, in our last pod, we talked about Stephen May. Since then, he's failed a medical at Collingwood. So that's the end of that. And someone else that we talked about, not a key defender in the last pod, was Charlie Curnow and his links to Collingwood. And I think we can put a big fat cross through that. Carlton do not want to deal with us.
Amen to that. Amen. Don't want Charlie.
A couple of other players a couple of captains of their football club that might be on the outer. Jack Steele and Jai Simpkin. You got interest in either of them?
None. No interest in either of them.
Yeah, they're both quality players, but I don't either. I look at Jack Steele and I think his body's kind of cooked.
Yeah.
He's not that old. He's like 29, 30, but his body looks cooked. Simpkins a little bit younger. I think he's 25, 26. If we could get him for the right price, I wouldn't mind.
No, maybe for the right. It all comes down to the deal, of course. It would have to be a very good deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's still, I don't know. If we could get him for absolutely peanuts.
Oh, yeah, well, but bring him in. Yeah, if he absolute peanuts. But I don't think we're going to be getting a club captain who's 25 for absolute peanuts.
No, Jack Steele was like 30.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about Simpkin.
No, sorry. Yeah, I went back to
you
Jack
went back
Steele.
to Steele.
Yeah, because as I was thinking about it, I was like, maybe if we could get him for nothing.
No, look.
If we missed out on Oliver and we could get Steele for a third rounder, would you? No?
Depends who else is. If there's nobody else available, we miss out on the Oliver, and we miss out on the Humphrey, and we get nobody else. I suppose to add to a bit of depth in the hope of helping Nick in the middle occasionally. Yeah, I'd look at it if the deal's right. But
people are saying that guys like Jack Steele, the game has gone past them. And I'm not totally against that. You look at guys like Tom Mitchell, Ollie Wines, those types. And I don't put Clayton Oliver in the same category. I put him more in the Matt Rao category. Yeah, he's a bit of an inside beast, but he's also he's a lot more than that. Like he's better on the outside than what those guys are. He's got a bit of burst of speed from clearance, unlike those guys.
But as you said last night, you said people who are saying players like that, the game has passed by. Well, you only have to look at the last 5 or 6 Brownlow medalists, and they're all that type.
I think I think there's an extra string to Matt Rao's bow and Clayton Oliver, for example, and those guys. But yeah, Cripps kind of is like those guys, and the game hasn't gone past Cripps. So
no.
Yeah, but rightio. So that's Jack Steele and Jai Simpkin. The next patch are just a bunch of young guys that are linked to leave. Zane Dersma from North Melbourne, who's only a top 5 pick not that long ago.
The whole Dersma family, they're just flirts, aren't they?
And did you know that the younger brother looks like he could go potentially number 1 this year?
Yeah, they're all the Dersmas, including the sister who played AFLW for Port Adelaide.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even they're all hyped to the max.
Yeah.
before the draft. They're talked up, and they never really deliver. Any of the Dersmers, none of the Dersmers have
Would
ever
you be scared of getting
have ever delivered on their potential.
Would you be scared of getting the young Dersmer at number 1 or 2 just based on that he's a Dersmer? The one in this draft.
The one in this draft. Well, we've got no chance of getting him.
No, I'm saying a club in general.
Oh, a club in general. Well, yeah, based on what I've just said.
That'd be so harsh, wouldn't it? Like, it's nothing that he's done.
Yeah, no, but it's all genetics, isn't it? He's obviously genetically linked to his brothers and sisters and sister. So, yeah, I'd be saying, well, maybe they're a type that just dominate at one level and can't quite ever transition to playing against adults. I don't know what the reason is, but it just hasn't happened for any of them.
Personally, I would take Zane Dersmer at the right price. He's only been in the system a couple of years. He was a top 5 pick, so he's worth taking a risk on. He's sort of like a hybrid forward. I would similar maybe to a Will Hoskin Elliott, Mick.
Well, I need a new whipping boy, so get him on board.
So yeah, I don't think he's been linked with any teams yet. I think naturally people are like, oh, Essendon, because his brother plays there. But like, I don't think he's actually. I'm not 100% sure if Essendon have actually shown any interest yet. So. Yeah, if we could get him for a second rounder, seeing as though he was top 5 and like, I'll do that.
Yeah, we're worth the risk for a second rounder, I think. But yeah.
Next one, Ben Ainsworth from Gold Coast, another former top 5 pick. He's been around for a lot longer though. He'd probably be mid to late 20s now, but a smart footballer.
I've always liked him. He was in the same draft as Josh Dacos and McCluggage and Taranto and these guys. I saw him play a few games, underage games, and he impressed me, and I've always kept an eye on him. Never really took the next step that I expected him to because he's what do we know what draft pick he was?
He was in the top 5, I think, yeah.
Yeah, he was highly rated, never really has gone to the next level. Not sure. Again, it would be depending on the deal. I wouldn't be overly grasping for him there.
No. Ben Hobbs, we were linked with him last year. I think there's been little whispers again. He was a pick 12 or something like that for Essendon only maybe 3-4 years ago now. He just isn't coming on. But then again, he's been at Essendon and they're known for not being able to develop players.
They can injure them though.
They can injure them.
Did you see Brad Scott he even got a broken arm or something?
I did.
It was.
But Hobbs, we'll get him for nothing. I'm not sure if he'd be best 22. You'd need to work his way through the VFL and put some good.
Well, if Ben Hobbs is in our best 22 next year, we're not competing for a premiership. I can just tell you that right now.
But he could be if he could get it for nothing. He's a guy that at least we know has a bit of talent that maybe
add to the depth.
Yeah, and then if he put some good performances together in the VFL, he could surprise us. But yeah. I want a few yes or no's from you. We'll go through these ones real quick.
I can only say yes or no.
Yeah.
You want quick answers? Okay, go ahead.
George Stevens.
Say that again. Who? George Stevens?
Yeah.
Well, I would say no on the basis that I don't know who George Stevens is. So I'm ruling him out. Does he even play football? Who's George Stevens?
He's on Geelong's list. He's a big-bodied inside mid that just isn't getting the game for them.
Yes. Was he in the media in the last day or two? Yes, I read about a guy on Geelong's list that was highly sought, highly regarded, who hadn't been getting the game, and it's probably him. Yeah, he piqued my interest when I read about him yesterday or whatever it was. Considering 27 seconds ago, I didn't know who this guy was. Don't take what I say as gospel, listeners. Sounded interesting from the article I read. What do you think?
I liked him in his draft year. I wanted him in his draft year. Again, he'd be in the same categories of Ben Hobbs in terms of he wouldn't start in that best 22, but he could work his way in. At least he's come from a good team with good culture in Geelong, not Essendon. So hopefully he's a bit more developed.
He's not a dog, Dermot. He's come from a good home. Got a good culture.
I'll take him for the right price, a third rounder or something. Yeah.
All right. Hopefully the next guy I know.
This guy we were linked with during the season, and it's kind of gone away. And I think he's going to stay at his club now, especially with the new ruck rule. But personally, I would be very interested if he was to say he wanted to come to Collingwood, and that's Ned Reeves.
Very. What is he? He's
210
challenging
or something. Yeah.
He's challenging Cox as the tallest in the league. Given the new rules that we discussed, would Hawthorn even want to get rid of him though? Would they want to see?
No. And he was really good for them. He was the number one ruck until they got Lloyd Meek.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I've seen him in a few games. He's an absolute beanstalk. So that is in itself interesting.
This guy we were linked with a couple of seasons ago, and it didn't happen. It looked like it was. It was, I think, the same trade period as Tom Mitchell. It sounds like he's going to leave this time. I think he's got more links to Port Adelaide, but seeing as though we were linked to him a few years ago, I thought I'd put him on the list, and that's Braden Fiorini from Gold Coast.
He's been a name that's been thrown around for probably about 3 years now. He's a good accumulator, isn't he?
He's moved more onto the wing this year, and he's actually had a good season for Gold Coast. So he's finally cracked their team. He was a part of their final. Yeah,
he can get. What I'm saying though, he can get the ball. He's got no trouble finding the ball.
Yeah.
So again, he would be interesting. But I'd have other players ahead of him.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
This guy I brought up in an earlier podcast, probably about 2 or 3 months ago, because there were rumours that he was potentially going to be on the outer, and they've completely gone away. And that is Bailey Fritsch from Melbourne.
Yeah.
Heard nothing about him. They're losing everybody else. Surely he's one of these guys that's sitting there being like, I'm not going to win a premiership here. I want to get the hell out.
Well, when you asked me about him last year, my immediate reaction was a question we've had notice was, he's a good player in a good side. He's one of those types.
Yeah.
That if you put him in a good side, he can hurt you. But in a side that's struggling, you won't see him.
I don't think we'll be struggling.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I would be interested in a Bailey Fritz at Collingwood, especially given our present state of our forward line. Yep.
This is the kind of name that people will be saying, why are you wasting your time talking about him? But last year...
Oh, we've got plenty of time. We haven't got much else in our lives, so we're not wasting it.
But last year, I go back to I mentioned Tim Membry, and, people were like, no, there's no way. Why are you bothering? It's just not going to happen. So you just never know. I've got 2 more names on this list. This guy's just been delisted. He looked like in his first club he could have been absolutely anything, and even in his second club he was solid for a few years, and don't know what the fuck has happened, and that's Ryan Burton. Yeah, would you get him as a delisted free agent?
Look, I've given it no thought. So so let's just first clarify who he is. He's a former Hawthorn player. Ryan Burton. So he's a former Hawthorn player who went to Port Adelaide, correct?
Yes,
it's him. Yeah. Okay, I just had to clarify that. I'm thinking who is Ryan? Yeah. Well, I've hardly heard anything from him for about 2 years. I was very surprised at the time that Hawthorn sent him off to Port Adelaide.
It was a part of the Wingard trade.
Yeah. I thought, gee, what are Hawthorn doing? Because I rated him in his early days.
Everybody did, yeah.
Yeah, and then he went to Port Adelaide. And look, I'm going to have to say no, because has he done anything the last 2 or 3 years?
Not really.
Anything at all? Nothing. Yeah. So no, the fact that I'd almost forgotten who he was indicates that he really hasn't done much. So I'm saying no.
I think he's the definition of list clogger. There would be no point. He's not a young kid that you're developing. He's not going to be in your best 23. There's really no points in him. But it's an interesting name that you could get for nothing. That's why I put him on the list.
Yeah, no, Sam Mitchell is obviously pretty cluey. So when we all thought that they were making a mistake, he obviously knew better.
It was way before Sam Mitchell's day.
It was
a Clark.
It was right back in
Mitchell's
Clarkson.
been around 2 years, Michael.
Has it been that long since Burton left? Jesus.
Burton left in about 2017 or something.
Is he still alive? Do we know? Why are we discussing Burton? Why is Burton on your list, Dermot? Okay. Can we get Arnold Brightus Is he on your list? Why are we discussing? When you said people are going to be wondering why we're wasting our time talking about Burton, I'm one of those people. Why are we talking about Burton?
I hope we get Burton now.
Jesus Christ.
I hope we get him just to shut you up.
Bloody hell. Go on.
The last name I got on this little section is Ollie Florent. Apparently he was in and out of Sydney's team this year, which I wasn't aware of, and I think he's still in contract. But yeah, he's an interesting one.
I thought, I thought he was really highly rated at Sydney.
He was.
He was.
Maybe he was more under horse. Maybe Dean Cox doesn't feel the same way.
I don't know.
He was a high pick as well. He was like a top, maybe 15 pick inside the top 15.
He's going to be under the umbrella of, if the deal's good, I'd be interested. If the deal's good.
I think it should be, seeing as though he hasn't been getting a regular game. Yeah, I would be interested too. I know I got a Sydney mate that really likes him. So, yeah. All right. I've only got two more names left to talk about. The first one, I'm not even talking about him in terms of Collingwood. I just want to know why we haven't gone for Sam Flanders. I really like Sam Flanders from Gold Coast. There's about four clubs that are linked with him. Yeah. We don't have to trade a huge amount to get him. Yeah, we might have to pay a little bit, but he's the kind of guy that I just don't think has been given any opportunity in the midfield in the last 12 months, in particular due to Anderson and Rao and those types. And he was a high pick, and he's a gun, and he's played some great footy for Gold Coast. You put him in your midfield, and you say you are a midfielder, and I could see him being a great value pick for whoever picks him up. And again, it's just another guy that we haven't even been linked with. That it pisses me off that we haven't.
Well, he's another guy who can really get the ball. I rate him very highly. If we could get him. Yeah, he'd be.
We won't.
No.
He's going to either Melbourne or St Kilda or any of these.
Yeah, I've heard no speculation, which is disappointing because, the only maybe I take comfort in the fact there's been no talk of Collingwood getting him because we've got our eyes on what we consider to be a bigger price. Hopefully, we're into somebody really big, like a Humphrey. Maybe that's where we're focusing our efforts. So
it still feels a little bit unrealistic, the Humphrey thing, though.
Not under my not in my mind, as we discussed before. But anyway,
okay. And the last player, we talked about him a few weeks ago. Of course, he retired a year or so ago, and that is Jaden Stevenson.
Yes, he was. I was going to bring him up if you didn't. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still on the same page. I'll take him. I think you'd have to rookie list him. But if he was available, I'd be all in to see if he can.
Oh, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You can get him for nothing. He's a guy as a top draft pick. We know he can play. We know he's got the talent.
He's exactly what you describe Bailey Fritsch as. You put him in a good team, he's going to be a good player. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So the only question mark on him is his maturity. That's the only question mark. And as the years go by, we've got a better and better chance that he's maturing because that's what happens when you get older, you mature. So, some people, present company excluded.
Clayton Oliver's going the other way.
Yeah. But ordinarily, you would assume people would mature as they get older. So that was the only question mark on him. Has he matured? And so I think he's 25 now. He's going to be 26 next, is it? Or 26 going to 27?
26 now.
So he's either way, he's about to enter what should be his peak years, his peak footy years, 26, 27, 28, 29. Those years traditionally are your peak years. So, and you know who would be a good replacement for?
Elliot when he retires, maybe?
He'd be a good replacement for Bobby Hill.
Another
reason we should get rid of Bobby Hill because we've got another Bobby Hill waiting in the wings, apparently.
They're nothing alike, Michael.
Aren't they? Aren't they alike? How are they not alike?
But they're just very different types of players.
No, I don't see it that way. They're guys who can break the lines, who are very, very handy around goal, more than handy around goal. They're brilliant around goals. They can run and carry. How are they not similar? They're not. All right. Anyway. That's a compelling argument. I concede. I retract what I said based on your compelling argument.
All right.
That they're not.
Are there any names that you want to bring up, or was that everyone?
No. That's basically everyone. Yes.
So the summer, the guys that we really want, Clayton Oliver, yeah.
Yep. Support for Nick. Have
Yeah.
to get support for Nick Dacos.
Bailey Humphrey, yeah.
Yes. For the present and the future.
Jamara.
I just don't.
No, if it was up to us,
If it was up to, well, if the deal was right, yes, you would get Tamara because he's a talent. He's a young talent and he's a key forward, and we need a key forward. So yes, of course you would. But it's not going to happen because apparently he's already ruled any Victorian club out. What I'm hearing.
Yeah, but he might not get that choice. If Gold Coast say no, and say we're the only club that say, yeah, we'll give you a chance, that he wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
I'm going to chuck Anthony Caminiti in that section as well. I'd love to get him. I think he's and you know what? I'm even going to put Jai Sarong in there. I think there's a little bit there with Jai Sarong in terms of I do want another key position player, and I want them to be young, and they're the two that are on the top of my list. Jacob Blight would be fine. Jacob Blight would be fine as a delisted free agent, but in terms of guys that we can trade for, that I think got a bit more potential than him, Caminiti and Sarong for me. Yeah.
Right.
You agree?
Right. Yeah. Sarong, he falls under the banner of George Stevens in that I didn't know he existed. I knew the Fremantle guy, of course, the Fremantle Sarong, but I didn't know he had a brother who played for Hawthorn. So how tall is he? Just up the top of your head.
Maybe 192, 3.
So he's not really he's not a really tall key back. He can get by, but he's not a 196, 198.
Jeremy Howe kind of high, maybe a bit high, a bit taller than Jeremy Howe. I'm not sure how big he is. I'd say he's a bit taller than Jeremy Howe.
So no, I can't pass comment on him.
And of course, Jack Bullard. Well, that's going to happen. We'll look forward to see what he's like. All right. What are the chances that we're back for our review of this trade here, and we're just flat as anything because we did absolutely bugger all. I can see it now. All right, it's time to get into the final ever installment of the Julian Rowe Medal.
Been pretty good, Julian Rowe. He's been better than pretty good. He's been a forward that has presented for them today.
All right. What I'm gonna do, Mick, is I'm gonna go in reverse order in the top 10, and then after that, you can ask me about anyone else that isn't in the top 10 and how they polled, and you can ask me splits as well. Who gave more votes to which player to you and I?
Do I have to ask, or could?
Yeah, just a couple.
Only if I'm interested. But what if I'm not interested?
I'm sure you'll be interested. All right.
I doubt it. But anyway, keep going.
So in 10th spot, on 98 votes, and despite missing quite a bit of football through injury, we have Lockie Schultz.
Right, yes. I can see him just being inside or outside the top 10. So that doesn't surprise me too much.
He wasn't in Collingwood's top 10 for the best for the Copeland Trophy.
Right, okay.
And number 9, and I'm not happy with this one because I think he had a very underwhelming season. So I think that we can get good vibes on who gave him more votes. It definitely wasn't me. And that is Jack Crisp on 104 votes.
Right. Can you tell me the split now?
I can tell you the split. So I gave Jack Crisp I ranked him as our 13th best player. I gave him 41 votes.
I'm giving him about 60 odd, have I?
You ranked him as our 8th best player and 63 votes.
Yeah, it's about right. Yeah.
Oh, he was very underwhelming most of the season, I feel. In 8th spot, and dare I say, pretty much all these votes would have come in the first 15 rounds. So he could have potentially won if his body held up, and that's Jeremy Howe on 121 votes. Clearly someone that wasn't in the top 10 for the Copeland. I don't think anyway. I don't actually have that in front of me, but I think he was one of the guys that weren't in there. Very, very good start to the season. So it proves that when he's fit and he's at his best, he's still elite. It's just he needs to get that body right. I'm not convinced that he will get it right next year. But anyway, number 7 on 140 votes, Ned Long. Who would have tipped that at the start of the year? Gone from a guy that we probably didn't even have in our top 30 players, you and I. Yeah. And all of a sudden we rank him as our 7th best player. So that's a good effort.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit embarrassing. And I blame you partly for this. I'm looking at the splits.
Surprise, surprise. Dermot blames me.
Number 6, on 157 votes, the Copeland Trophy winner, Darcy Cameron, all the way down at number 6. That's not good.
Yeah. Well, look, no, hold on. It is a surprise that he won the Copeland Trophy. So most people wouldn't have had him winning the Copeland Trophy. So they haven't got him a 1.
I think I would have had him top 3, I reckon.
Okay, so but they've got it. Yeah, okay. So we had him 6. A lot of people, I reckon, would have had him 3rd or 4th. So it's not a mile off what most people would have had him.
The best way to put this is I gave him more votes than you.
Yeah.
You gave over 100 more votes to me for the whole year. So there's only a small handful of players that I gave more votes to than you. So I just don't think you showed him the respect that he deserved. And there's a player that's a little bit higher up, which I think you just completely overrated. So I have a feeling you're the main reason why this Julian Rowe Medal was being butchered, without a doubt.
Why wasn't that surprise me at all that you should blame me? But anyway, keep on going.
And number 5, on 160 votes, Jamie Elliott. Again, probably your fault that he's that low. Let's have a look. Jamie Elliott split. Yes, again, one of the only other players I gave a lot more votes to than you. And again,
what was the split there? Tell
84 to I gave him 84, and you gave him 76.
Oh, well, that's not a huge difference.
Well, considering you gave over 100 more votes than me this year, you're very happy to give out votes. That is actually a fair bit. So poor old Jamie.
I spoke very warmly of Jamie earlier in the episode.
Yeah, well, you just didn't give me votes. Now, this guy at number 4 dominated the first 10 rounds of the year, and then didn't do a hell of a lot after that. But unfortunately, Michael, despite him not doing a lot after that, continued to give him votes.
So this is my fault as well.
This one's your fault.
This one's my fault. Okay.
166 votes, still side bottom.
What number?
166.
Yeah.
He's number 4.
Number 4, side bottom.
I gave side bottom. I had side bottom ranked at number 6, and I had him on 73 votes. You had him ranked at number 3 on 93 votes. You gave him 20 more votes than I did, and you gave him. What did you give him? You gave him 16 more votes than Darcy Cameron, Michael.
This is just as odd as Cam Rayner wanted to be a 7-year-old girl. This is very odd.
This is a huge reason why the Julian Rowe Medal is now going to be a at the end of the year.
Well, I told you when we first started this, nobody cares.
Because you're incapable of giving votes. All right. At number 3, there's a bit of a gap between number 4 and number 3. At number 3, on 191 votes, is Josh Dacos.
Right, yes.
That's about
right. That's about right.
In second, do you want to guess who second is? I'll give you a clue. He finished 8th in Collingwood's best and fairest.
Is it Maynard?
No, because Maynard's one player you refuse to give votes to.
No, off the top of my head, I can't. No, don't tell us.
In second, on 195 votes, Scott Pendlebury.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gave him second.
Who? What's a split there?
That's interesting. You gave him exactly 100 votes.
Yeah.
And I gave him 95. So not a huge difference. So we can't both be wrong.
It doesn't. No, just it doesn't feel like a top 2 finish in a Copeland Trophy though, does it?
Well, that's why he finished 8th.
Yeah. No. No, we're not good at this. Yet last year we got all the top 10, as you said.
We were better last year.
We were better last year.
So I will say that Pendlebury was rarely ever in our top 3 players, but what he was very consistent. He was probably in our top 5 almost every game. And I think that's what was the difference in the end.
Right.
Because remember, our votes, we can give as many players votes as we want. So it kind of rewards consistency.
Consistency, rewards consistency. So maybe we're not wrong. It's just a different type of award. Anyway.
Well, side bottom, I don't think was consistent, and he finished 4th based on you overvoting. But all right, number 1, the Julian Rowe medalist for a second time. Yeah, it should be Matt Rao. for a second time. Now, get this. So Pendlebury finished second on 195 votes.
Right.
Our winner, which is Nick Dacos, by the way. So guess what he finished on?
Oh, we like Nick. 277.
335 votes.
335 votes. We're big fans of Nick at Into the Woods. 335.
Nick Dacos, a back-to-back Julian Rowe medalist now.
And that was me saying the whole year I didn't think it was his best couple of years he's had.
No, do you want to know the splits then for Nick Dacos?
Yeah.
I gave him 163 votes.
Yeah.
You gave him 172.
Right, yes.
So despite me being the biggest Nick Dacos lover of all time, you actually gave him more votes.
Yes, there you go.
And there were times during the
Landslide.
season where you were accusing me. You were saying, oh, you're just, if I gave him 7 instead of 8 or 9, you're holding him to a different standard. Well, the overall votes happened at 335. So I'm not sure if you're holding him at a different standard.
No.
So to recap the top 10, Nick Dacos, Scott Pendlebury, Josh Dacos, Steele Sullivan, Jamie Elliott. That's the top 5. And then Darcy Cameron, Ned Long, Jeremy Howe, Jack Crisp, and Lockie Schultz. The guys
so,
that just...
So Nick Dacos goes down as a dual Julian Rowe Medal winner and also the only Julian Rowe Medal winner.
Yes, he'll be very proud of that. Well, don't worry about the Copeland and the Brownlow and the Premiership medal that you missed out on this year, Nick. You've won the Julian Rowe medal.
You're appreciated here, Nick Dacos. Yes.
So the guys that just missed out. At number 11, this is the guy to finish top 3 in the Copeland, and we put him at 11. Quainer on 96 votes, so we had him 2 behind Lockie Schultz at 10. I'll put my hand up and say that was my fault. The splits here, you had Quainer, you had him ranked at number 10, in fairness, so you didn't show him that much respect. You gave him 60. Me, I had him at 14 on 36 votes.
14?
14.
Hell.
I don't know how I did that because a lot of the year I've come on this podcast and I've actually been talking Quainer up. So I don't know why I wasn't giving him votes. I think I was giving too many to Nick Day because I couldn't fit in any more. But that was my bad, 100%. Harry Perryman finished top 5 in the best and fairest. We had him all the way down at 16 on 64 votes.
Well, like I said, I never actually saw him play.
Some of the disappointing guys, Dan Houston, we had a 20th on 30 votes. And I think most of those votes came in his first game. I think we almost gave him like a 9-vote game each, which would have put him on 18 after his first game or something. Yeah. It was actually, I look at the splits here. You gave him 17 and I gave him 13.
Right.
Yeah, so it was very underwhelming season by him. Who else was underwhelming? The Triple M's, Brody Myercheck, 54 votes in 18th spot. Tim Membry, 41 votes in 19th spot. And Dan McStay, equal 22nd on 27 votes.
Right.
So the Triple M's didn't work.
No.
We had Darcy Moore in 12th, despite some of his awful games, 89 votes. Billy Frampton, just behind him in 13th place on 85. He missed a lot of footy in the middle of the year, Billy Frampton. So he could have been close to top 10 if he didn't miss those games.
Yeah, no, he had a good year. Good solid year. Yeah.
Maynard, 73 votes in 15th. I'll look at the split for Maynard. You gave him 31 and I gave him 42. So
no, let's move on. This is why we're getting rid of the Julian Rowe medal. It's going to be a bit boring. Go on, bit dry.
McCreary, 76. He's in there as well.
Again, boring. Let's
Your
move
boy,
on.
Pat Lipinski, just behind Perryman on 63. All right, we're going to move on to the Who Am I?
Right. And also there is more change. Julian Rowe medal is not the only thing changing next year. You're getting rid of basically all the segments, but you're imposing a new segment, and that's a segment where because you get sick of me interrupting you, so you're gonna corral me and harness me into my own segment, so I stop interrupting you
Right at the end of the pod.
Right at the end of the pod. But I'm not playing your game. I'm not going to be corralled. I'm not going to be harnessed. If I feel the need to speak up and I don't know, bring up topics such as the Richies, I will continue to do so. Things that need to be said. when
what
they
I
need
will
to be
say
said.
now, what I will say now, because of that you've already brought up, next year, we're going to go to another level with the podcast in terms of
A
we're
good
going to bring it
level?
another level in terms of content. Like, if anything, I want to bring out more content. I just want it to be more of a less segments and more basically just a whole episode of hot topics, basically, where we just sit down and we just babble shit right until the end. The who am I's are getting too much, planning them. The bloody Julian Rowe Medal playing the votes, that's getting too much. So it's just from start to finish. It's just basically going to be hot topics. And the pods will still probably will babble on for about an hour 20 still. So it's still going to be long pods. Panel show will still be there. Everything will be the same. It's just basically similar to like Pies Nation and the Collingwood Rants and all those podcasts. I don't think they have segments. So it's got to be more sort of similar to what they do.
We're copying them.
Well, we're not copying. I just got sick of doing the Julian Rowe Medal.
We're copying them.
But we'll talk up who am I because actually no, we'll chuck to the intro. We'll chuck to the intro, then we'll build it up. It's time for who am I. All right, so I'll build this up. This is the second last Who Am I ever. It'll be your last Who Am I. I'm giving it to you, right? So next episode, which will be our last episode of the year, you'll be giving me one. Right now, as it stands, I've got a 3-point lead on you. So essentially, if you want to be any chance to take a lead, you need to answer it on the second question for 4 points.
Yep.
To at least equal it, then you need to answer it on 3 and basically hope that I don't get the answer right next week and it's a tie.
Yep.
So that's basically...
And can I just say, I will present you with a fair and reasonable person. I'm not going to do it. Let's call it doing a Dermot, where you want to ensure victory by pulling out a Mick Irwin or somebody of that ilk. Okay, I will be fair and reasonable next week. But this week...
Well, it could already be over by next week. It could be a dead rubber, the last Who Am I.
In
terms of if you fail now.
Oh, yes, if I fail now. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to pull out... I think I'm going to be going for the 5-voter. I'm just going to be...
Is there any point in going for the 5-pointer?
Well...
will you not play it safe and just go to the 4-pointer and try and get a 1-point lead and hope I fail next week? Because you're not going to get
it. Because you probably won't fail. Because as I just said, I'm going to be fair and reasonable. I'm not going to give you Fred Leach from 1902, who I think his name was Fred Leach. Fred Leach was actually one of the best players apparently Collingwood in the first 50 years of our history. Look him up, people, sentiment. But no, I wouldn't give you a Fred Leach. I'd give you somebody you'd be realistically had a good spot at getting him at 3 points or whatever.
Well, I think I think the overall score is 22 points up to 19. So
right, okay, all right. So
all right.
Pulling out all stops, taking a bit of a chance on this one.
Who am I? For 5 points. I was drafted at pick 6 in the 1997 rookie draft from the Collingwood Reserves as a key position player. When
you said pick 6, I thought, damn, it's been generous. I've got a rook chance again this rookie draft. Sorry. Rookie. So 1990. So repeat the question. 1990.
Did I say? Sorry.
Pick 6?
I was drafted at pick 6 in the 1997 rookie draft from the Collingwood Reserves as a key position player. Now, can I just say that I couldn't find anything online about this player being in the Collingwood Reserves other than the fact that when you look at the draft, it has his name and then next to it recruited from Collingwood Reserves. That's the only part of evidence I can find that he actually played for the Collingwood Reserves. But I'm going to assume, even though it's Wikipedia, I'm going to assume that's right. Because I couldn't find anything else.
So pick 6 in the 97 rookie draft from Collingwood Reserves. But yeah.
As a key position player.
A key position player.
And I'm going to be extra nice, extra nice, and I'm going to say he's not a ruckman.
Okay, so you give me pick 6 from the 1997 rookie draft as you being nice, and then this is being extra nice, is it? He's not a ruckman.
I think I've actually been kind with these questions, but you're at 5 at the moment. You sure you don't want to go through to a 4 and at least try and take a 1-point lead?
I
was never going to give you an easy one at 5.
No, the guy that I'm thinking of. Remember, there was a guy called Davidson about that time. I can't remember his first name. He showed a lot of promise, but he kept on getting injured.
Tom.
He was Tom Davidson. Yes, Tom Davidson. He was a key position forward mostly, but he just got injured, and he would have been around about that time. I think a long time ago now, but he's the first guy who's come to mind. Key position player, late 90s, let's say. Rookie draft. No, look, go to 4, but I'm just going to have a pot shot at 4, no matter who it is.
Well, you could at least try and tie it at 3, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have a go pot shot at 4.
All right, for 4 points. Despite being drafted from the Collingwood reserves, I was raised in Queensland for most of my childhood. That's it.
Right. Right. Despite coming from the reserves, he'd been in Queensland. You know what? I'm just going to go Queenslander back in those days. Key position Queenslander. Key position Queenslander. I don't look. I'm just gonna put in Tom Davidson. I know it's probably not him, but I just have to take it. Let me have another quick think. Key position. So Backman, who was? Look, I can't think. I'm going to lock in Tom Davidson.
I'll give you one last chance. You don't want to go to 3 points and try and even it up. You want to lock in Tom Davidson for 4?
Because 4 will give me
a 1-point lead.
The lead. So you would have to bomb out totally next week.
Which I've done. I've done quite a bit in the last few weeks.
Yeah. It's unlikely. Are you bluffing? This is because
being very nice.
When I mentioned Davidson at 5 points, you kind of you raise your eyebrow. You said, "Oh, Tom, could that be Tom?"
I think you're reading too much into that.
I vaguely remember Tom Davidson. But I'm saying this in such a way that it can't possibly be Tom Davidson because I wouldn't have,
Have you ever thought that maybe I'm trying to help you because I'm a nice bloke and I want this to be interesting?
No, I can rule that out. I can rule that out very confidently. All
right. You're going to have to make a decision.
Okay, go to 3. Okay. Go to 3 because it's probably not Tom Davidson. Go to 3.
All right, for 3 points, I would seek a trade away from the Pies at the end of the 2000 season after 61 games. I would officially retire in 2008 as an Essendon player after a total of 238 games. So I think we could safely say that's not Tom Davidson.
Right. So he asked for a trade from Collingwood?
At the end of the 2000 season after 61 games.
Right.
And he retired as an Essendon player at the end of 2008 after 238 games.
Why don't I know this? Why the hell don't I know this? 238 games in 2008. Key position, Queenslander. I don't know.
I think
This
they've
is,
been
what, this is one of your, the embarrassing moments. This is my first embarrassing moment of the year, and I had to wait for the last one. And my mind's gone into panic mode now, so it's not even thinking. It's just freezed up now. It's not giving me nothing.
You should be getting this on then.
It's not giving me
Key
nothing.
position.
All I'm thinking about is Cam Rayner wanted to be a 7-year-old girl. That's the only thing in my head. Essendon, key position, retired 2008.
God, this is bad.
It is bad. This is bad.
61 games for Collingwood, key position player. Left at the end of 2000 and retired in 2008 as an Essendon player.
Right, after many games. After 238 games. So
yes.
A good player at Essendon by the sounds of it, but then they weren't winning a lot back then, or even now.
You need to think outside the box. Just think outside the box.
The only thing in my box at the moment is, as I said, Cam Rayner. Outside the box.
I don't have all day, Mick. You're going to have to...
No, look, I don't know. My mind's gone blank.
Well, you could go to 2 points, but it means you're basically forfeiting and I'll win.
Yeah, yeah. Who went to Essendon?
I'm going to say think outside the box.
So what does that even mean, think outside the box?
I'm really trying to help you here. Think outside the box.
You're confusing me further.
He left at the end of the 2000 season and retired as an Essendon player in 2008.
No, I don't know.
Listen to my word in.
He left at the end of the 2000 season.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Essendon won the premiership that year, if that's significant. And then after 61 games at Collingwood, then went to Essendon and then retired in 2008.
You're not thinking outside the box.
Well, I don't know what you even mean by thinking.
All right,
you
need to either think of an answer or go to two. This is. I do this all day.
No. Look, I'm not interested in the other two. I forfeit. I'm done.
See, this is how you're going to end the long Who Am I season.
This is it. Well, I don't know. I obviously know the person. I just can't think.
You're not thinking outside the box. You're not listening to the way I'm wording it.
I don't understand what the concept of thinking outside the box.
Are we going to 2 points?
So just say it one more time. Say that wording, that significant wording you have.
I would seek a trade away from the Pies.
Seeking trade away from the Pies.
At the end of the 2000 season, after 61 games.
Yeah.
I would officially retire in 2008 as an Essendon player after a total of 238 games. Yeah, you're just not going to get it.
I know. Go on. Next one.
For 2 points, this is a very short one. I was not born in Australia.
Oh, frickin' Mel Michael.
For 1 point.
You cheated.
For 1 point.
You cheated.
Despite ending my career with Essendon, I am best remembered for being a triple premiership fullback at the Brisbane Lions.
I call foul.
Michael, I said think outside the box.
You are nothing if not consistent. You have been lousy this whole year. This is a very hollow victory on your part. A very hollow victory.
Michael.
Disgraceful. I'm thinking...
I never...
I'm trying to help you. Is that how you try to help me?
I said think outside the box. I said he seeked to trade away from the Pies at the end of the 2000 season. And then I said he retired as an Essendon player. At no point did I say he... seek the trade from Collingwood to Essendon. That's why I was saying think outside the box, listen to the way I'm wording it, and know why.
So this is your idea of how to help people. Is this how you tried to help that duckling the other day?
No. Don't mention the duckling.
This duckling business is part of a worrying trend.
Poor duckling. Broke my heart.
And that's not the first time you had that episode with the duck as well. There's been another duck in the past.
I'm literally traumatized by the duckling. But anyway.
And then let's not forget last year, shall we? Our listeners last year were left quite shaken when they heard that you had tried to frighten a puppy. Remember that? This is how you help people, Dermot.
Exaggeration. Right, there we go. You've got it at 2 points, so you get back within one of me, which is not going to be enough, which means next week's going to be a bit of a dead rubber. But
I should have smelled a rat. I should have, when I just couldn't. I'm thinking, who played 238 games with Essendon, retiring in 2008? He would have been an Essendon legend. And I would have been thinking, how could we have let this player go who went on to have a great career at Essendon? Surely. Who is this?
Think
This is
outside the box,
embarrassing.
Michael. Think
This is
outside the box.
embarrassing. That question was misleading.
No, well, I really tried helping you. I really did. All right. Anyway, it's been a long fucking episode. So we're going to wrap this one up. Have you got any final words?
Listen, yeah. The goings on during the week at Geelong, I just have to get this out, at Geelong's end of season celebration. Please, have we got to a stage now where we cannot tell a joke unless that joke is not funny? Okay, you can only tell jokes that are not funny. Okay, I'm not a big fan of Smith, but he's posting another picture of him and Dangerfield with the comment underneath in regards to Brokeback Mountain. That was a funny joke. That was, and the overreaction to that is just the paternalistic attitude of Geelong and the AFL and all those people out there on Twitter is just painful. It is painful. Can we just lighten up a little bit, for crying out loud? And even Josh Thomas, the comedian who's a gay man, to his credit, he's come out and he said, everybody just calm the hell down. We can take jokes. He hates people of his persuasion being painted as people who just have got no sense of humour and can't laugh at themselves. And he said it beautifully. Crying out loud. Anyway, just that. Oh, actually, we've missed.
Come on, we've been going for about 2 hours.
No. We've missed something. And you say I don't do my homework. Well, you didn't do your homework this week, Dermot. When are we going to review our predictions from the start of the year? And I've got it all written down here. Your top 8, our premiers, our Brownlow Medal,
maybe the last episode,
our Copeland Trophy winner, our
maybe the last episode,
so on and so on.
All right, I've had enough. I'm hungry. I want to go.
Mel, Michael, you really did secure your win, didn't you? Okay.
I tried helping you, and I even tried to convince you to go to 3 points because I knew it wasn't Tom Davidson. So I was being very, very nice. But anyway,
so I've ended up on 21 points.
Yeah, I'm on 22 with
and
one
you're
hand.
on 22 with a pick in hand. All right,
I might go for the 5 next week to try and end with a bang. Could do that now. All right. Anyway, it was an absolute marathon. Thanks for listening. We look forward to doing it again in a couple of weeks. See ya.